I was with a group of people this week, and I asked a person of mine, I don't know if some people are calling it a relationship these days. I'm not sure if I'd call it a relationship. Just a person I'm fond of, maybe a woman. I like to keep these things broad on social media. You and I have a rule about this. I like to be open and honest on social media, but not too open and honest. A lot of people we'll talk about later are pretty insane in this world. Got to keep it somewhat private, but let's just say I'm fond of this person. I was in a group. She said, "What do you want to be for Halloween?" I looked at her dead serious. I looked at the 6 other people in this group. I said, "I want to be Joe Biden." They weren't fond of it, Harry. They wouldn't accept. They said, apparently this is a time to be, more promiscuous. I'm not supposed to, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I want to be Joe Biden. I want to get the aviators. I want to get the mask. I want to be such a great American president. Someone as a 21-year-old that I look up to. But they weren't rocking with Joe Biden as Halloween. I mean, are you going to be Joe Biden for? Don't you have aviators?
I do have aviators. And listen. Let me throw in the aviators for our YouTube watchers here because it's all part of the pod, right? I think being Joe Biden for Halloween is great, but I don't think being Donald Trump for Halloween is acceptable because that guy's a fucking traitor. So here's me with the aviators on, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man, this is Chris and Harry Unplugged. Everybody.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah, Chris and Harry Unplugged. I'm Chris, that's Harry. We're two Gen Z liberals who scream about politics. Welcome to episode 13. Thank you so much for watching. Just so you know, there's one more Google Forms in the description. Google Forms. I know you guys have been so kind to fill out the last couple. This is the last one, but it's very, very important. It's very important. I've had a lot of people reach out to me and Harry talking about a Patreon. We have floated it a couple times. We've had some problems in our thought processes morally about being behind a paywall, but there's a point where we're funding a lot of money into this podcast, and if we can provide value, maybe it's worth it. So we'll see what you guys have to say. I appreciate so much everyone who's reached out. All the Google form will be is maybe how much you're willing to pay, $5-10 a month, and what you want to see. Our kind of thought process is maybe it'd be cool to do like a couple episodes a month extra if you pay, but also like live streams if you pay. So like it'd just be us. You can chat with us, ask us questions. We can kind of like say what's up. We can talk politics, whatever. But you can fill it out in the description below and let us know what you think. I'd appreciate that so much. Like seriously, if you are actually like I would pay for a Patreon, it would mean a lot if you could fill it out. And thank you so much to everyone who's watching right now and listening and has been listening. Harry and I love you to death. And with that being said, how's your week, Harry? How's your week?
It was good, man. A little chaotic, which we'll talk about at the end. I'll give you. I think if you follow me on TikTok or Twitter, I talked about this, but had a bomb threat sent to me in my university, which was not fun. It was. We'll talk about it at the end. It was pretty chill because we knew it was fake from the beginning, and we'll talk about that. Yeah, but anyway, aside from that, Chris. Productive, good, I think, and just going through the motions, man. How about you? How was your week?
No, that's good. Yeah, good as well. Just stressful. I know last week I talked a little bit about my mental health, but I'm picking it up, being more productive, getting a lot of exercise, so it's good. I'm sorry about all the crazy stuff that happened to you this week. I know we talk a lot in private and we're good friends, and I appreciate you, but I'm also I'm proud of you, man. That's a lot. I know that's a lot on the headspace.
I appreciate that, bro. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's unfortunately it appears to be a little bit part of the game in modern American politics where my peers and I know Chris has kind of been on the end of this stuff as well. I've received these death threats, which are never fun. But anyway, don't want to dive into that too much for now. We're going to get into politics at the beginning of this episode, and then we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the episode. And I'm going to find out more tomorrow, which is Monday. So anyway, listen, folks, that'll be at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Right? What we're going to do right now is we're going to dive into some stories. And I think what Chris and I really wanted to focus on this week is, Joe Biden, some positives. We always talk about the negatives, but I think we want to talk about some wins, some major wins the country had this week, along with major wins the Democratic Party had this week in different parts of the country. So, Chris, let me know right now. How does that sound, my man?
It sounds great. I think you should kick us off with
right,
some of these major Democrat wins. Let's hear it.
So this personally, I actually did not know that this was happening around the country earlier in this week before it happened. But last week can you see this okay? Yeah, Chris?
Yep.
All All right. So last week, September 20th, I don't actually know what day it is. It was like I don't know, a Tuesday, Wednesday. We had some elections across the country. And the reason why we're talking about this and why it's so important is because, we always hear these narratives in the media and from Republicans especially, like Joe Biden. Nobody likes Joe Biden. Nobody supports Democratic policy. None of that stuff, right? And they say, we're going to get clobbered in 2024 or whatever it be. 2022 even, they said the same thing. But in the state of Pennsylvania and the state of New Hampshire, the Democrats won some pretty crucial elections. So we're going to start here in Pennsylvania. The Democrats in a special election for, I believe it was Allegheny County. Allegheny County special election. The Democrats won, and we regained a majority in the House, in the state House of Pennsylvania. Now, Democrats were favored to win, as the article states. But, these off-cycle, off-presidential year elections, especially these special elections, can have relatively low turnout and low enthusiasm, and they could swing either way. And sometimes they're pretty representative of how the country is feeling about, certain candidates, certain people in office. Sometimes these lower-level Democratic elections, represent the feeling all the way up to the presidency. So it's a big win. Big win. And in Pennsylvania, we have the House again, Chris. I mean, I think it's people kind of miss this one. Some people, a lot of people are on top of this stuff a lot. But, having the state House in a state, especially like a swing state like Pennsylvania, is a big deal. It's a big deal.
Yeah. And I think like a lot of these races like this are showing, I hate this term, but if you had to use this term, it's almost like this quote unquote silent majority has flipped. It's like, Trump supporters now, like I'm in Georgia, right? I drive down the road. It's probably 2 to 3 times a week that I see like a truck completely decked out in stickers or flags. Trump, 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 White Lives Matter, some crazy shit. Like they're very vocal now, but a lot of these polls I feel like are counting out young people. We're talking about just the overall 2024 polls. It's still early. Counting out young people, but also, states like this I think are a great representation of, I don't think we're going to get clobbered in 2024.
Well, yeah, and I mean like this is a big deal regardless. I mean, we have the state House in Pennsylvania, and this county, which was blue, is staying blue. In elections leading up to Donald Trump in 2020, there were a couple special elections, even the midterms in 2018, where, Trump was losing in these heavily red areas they were favored to win in, and they lost. And then Donald Trump lost. So I think this is a really good sign for Democrats, but this isn't even the biggest election. I mean, Pennsylvania, we were favored to win. It's still a big, big win. But this one is not even the one that I think is the most interesting this week. The other one, and this website is a little weird. But anyway, I think it's a more local news network. You have a Planned Parenthood advertisement on the side, which of course we support. But Democrats in New Hampshire flipped a key House seat, which is putting them inches away from erasing the GOP's majority. There's another special election in the New Hampshire House coming up in I think 7 weeks from now, which if Democrats win, will be tied. But New Hampshire Democrat Hal Rafter scored a major pickup for his party on Tuesday by flipping a swingy seat in a special election. And, the reason why this is significant is that, Rafter beat the Republican 56-44, flipping Rockingham County's 1st district, a constituency that favored Donald Trump in 2020 by 49.1% to 48.7%. So we're winning in Trump districts,
Yeah. Wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
Those numbers are wild.
Yeah, I mean, like he won 56-44 in a Trump district that went 49.
And that's not close. That is just not close.
No, it's not close. And I don't know. I just wanted to bring this to the attention of the people because it's like, guys, I know it's so easy to feel down. I know, like looking at these polls is, that Washington Post poll we all saw, which is having Biden down by 9 points, is very discouraging. You can feel very, very depressed and like what you're doing is not mattering. Is that a word? Mattering? Anyway, it doesn't matter. And I understand how that can feel for sure. But these election results go to show that like that may not be the case. This doom and gloom that we feel may not actually be the actual attitude of the country. So keep working, keep fighting. Don't get down, and we can do this, man. We really can. We really can.
Yeah, I think like I really like that you brought that to the table. I think that not only do you feel sad about it, but people like I talked about this with you privately. Like, recency bias in politics is real, dude. Momentum is real, especially nowadays with social media. Momentum is real and recency bias is real. So once the ball starts to get rolling, you see a couple of these bad polls, it feels like all of a sudden the you're looking everywhere and it's like, oh my God, Joe Biden's gonna get destroyed. Joe Biden's gonna get destroyed. But as Harry said many times, and he keeps me sane a little bit, because I almost call him and I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? He's like, dude, it's so early. It's so early. You know, the recency bias in politics is real. And I think the key answer to a lot of these questions is, if you want to get a better look besides the polls, it's what you just brought up. That's a much better idea of how Americans are feeling.
Yeah, and I think I saw this report from, and if Chris, after when Chris starts talking, I'll try to bring it up. But MSNBC, Chris Hayes did a specific report recently, and they found that Democrats in 30 special elections, in recent special elections, have overperformed in 24 of them. Meaning that we didn't win all 24,
wow.
But in like 24 of these elections, Democrats did better than we did in 2020 or 2022. And it's like, I think that those results, whether it be New Hampshire, which is a swing state, Pennsylvania swing state, and these special elections that are happening around the country are far more important and significant than these polls by the Washington Post and the ABC, which are outliers, obviously. But I'm not going to go into why these polls might be coming out now. But anyway, I think these are better results, personally.
Ooh, what was that? What was that little thing at the end? What does that mean?
Some of these polls their methodology, I think, is not great, and I think their findings are bad. Like, again, this will make no sense if you haven't seen the Washington Post poll, but basically this poll came out. It had, Biden down by 9 to Trump, and it's really bad. But the poll shows that Biden was losing by 20 points among voters below the ages of 35. Now, reminder, Joe Biden won young voters by double digits in 2020. So do people really think that young voters swung over 30 points to Donald Trump in 3 years when they don't support any policy that actually helps us? No way. Anyway.
Yeah. I tend to actually, I agree. I tend to actually be a little bit easier on the polls. Like I tend to just, maybe I'm naive, but even when I see a poor poll, I'm less likely to say that the methodology is bad. Although when I did hear about the Washington Post poll, I was like, 10 points. That's probably not accurate. And then I saw, like you just said, that Trump's leading people under 35 by 20. I was like, get the fuck out of here. You have lost your mind. I was like, dude, that is crazy. I'm like, they flipped, like you just, bro, that would be like almost a 40-point flip. That might be more than a 40-point flip.
Yeah, and like, apparently
that's crazy.
And it has Trump winning suburban women, which is insane given that Biden won suburban women in 2020, and since then Roe v. Wade has been overturned. So anyway, it's crazy, but this is what I was talking about. No, go ahead, say what you want to say.
Let's see. No, I was just saying, yeah, I like I said, even if I see a poll that's significantly favoring Trump by a lot more, I'm even less likely to say, oh, it's bad numbers, it's bad numbers. I try to just take it all in and kind of cancel out the noise. But dude, that Washington Post poll was piss poor. I hate to say it, but it was garbage. I mean, it was absolute garbage.
Yeah, not great. But this is what I was referencing to maybe hopefully calm some people's nerves, but also inspire us to work harder and continue to work hard in 2024. All In with Chris Hayes, love him, from MSNBC, did a report, and it says, Democrats have overperformed in 24 out of 30 special elections so far in 2023. And he said that says something robust and inspiring about where we stand at this moment. And I agree. I think it is inspiring. It's like, and some of these elections had like double-digit swings in favor of the Democrats in like these really red areas. So look, we have no idea what's going to happen in 2024, but if we can just like keep hammering the issues and show how we are sane and they are not, we care about women's right to choose, we care about climate change, we care about student debt, we care about healthcare, we care about all these issues, we care about infrastructure, homelessness, poverty, food deserts, and lack of hunger generally, then we can win. But we just have to stay focused and work hard, man.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's well said, and I think that I've talked to you extensively. That like this feels like just constant division, but something is going to break soon, as in a way of like, it's just appearing to me more and more that Democrats are going to just continue to come out on top, and the Republican Party is leading with someone with 91 felonies, and that's just not sustainable. They're quickly falling apart, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know, I
So
agree, and I think like
yeah.
anyway, this is a really good moment to, like, aside from the elections, it's a good moment to talk about the wins that this country's having, the wins that Biden's having, because
Yeah.
but yeah, just get right into it. Go for it, man.
Yeah. So I was actually trying to pull this up. Although, if you could pull up the tweet I made about Biden's week, just so I can like kind of go over it and talk about it. I don't know why my Twitter's not logged in. So this is some stuff that again you might not have heard. I posted it on TikTok and it did really well, and I know a lot of people on social media are doing great work about this. But in terms of maybe you're listening to us and it's kind of you're not turning on cable news, because most people aren't. 60% of Americans aren't turning on cable news. It may feel like I talk to a lot of friends. Joe Biden's not doing anything. Joe Biden's not productive. Joe Biden's not this. Joe Biden had the most insane week this week. Like, legitimately on my TikTok, I was like, this guy drank 15 energy drinks, and this is all within 48 hours if you're on YouTube. So we'll go step by step. So the first thing he did, and this was, let's say you're watching this on Monday. This would have been around last Wednesday. The first thing he did is introduce the American Climate Corps, which in short, and this is a quote from my tweet, quote, a program that will train and deploy 20,000 young Americans, and that's in the first year, to combat climate change on the front lines. This is a more progressive ideal. This was originally supposed to be in the Inflation Reduction Act. For all you people who feel like Joe Biden's not progressive enough, that's fine. This was something that a lot of progressives have pushed for and was left out, but is now here. It will be funded, and these 20,000 young Americans will get paid good salaries to go through things like, work on deploying clean energy, land restoration, etc. And that's going to literally build a green energy army, essentially. And we've always talked about how he's the most. There's a lot of misinformation, but he's the most progressive candidate ever on climate change. And that was a really big deal this year, or this week. Super big deal. So that was on Wednesday. That same Wednesday, he was in Brazil with Brazil's pro-democracy president. I know Harry posted a lot about some of the stuff that happened in Brazil in their last election. They had something similar to January 6th. Now their president is, thank God it wasn't Bolsonaro. Is that's how you pronounce it? Bolsonaro.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yep. So he met with their pro-democracy president. This is, again, a first, historic, and they announced the Partnership for Workers' Rights, which worldwide will aim at safeguarding workers' rights worldwide. You can do some more research on this. That was also on Wednesday. That same Wednesday, again, we're in the same day, he wiped away more student debt with executive power as much as he could. 1,200 University of Phoenix students had their debt erased for various reasons, for it being unfair. You can go do more research into that. But again, he's still carrying, the administration is very focused on trying to cancel student debt where they legally can, because obviously, the courts overruled him, but he still has a lot of executive authority. So again, we're still on Wednesday. That same Wednesday, he made COVID tests free once again. I know we're hearing a little bit about how COVID tests are on the rise. He wants to keep Americans safe. And that was pretty much all on Wednesday. And then the following 2 days, essentially, he announced the administration announced that they were working to restore benefits for LGBTQ plus veterans who were previously discharged due to the pre-2011 ban on openly gay military service, which is very A, pro-military, but B, pro-LGBTQ plus. And I'm sorry, that the next day was when he, I believe, made the COVID test free. Or no, I'm sorry. So that was actually, everything I just read was all Wednesday. I'm sorry, that was all one day. The next day, he announced that he would go and strike with UAW workers, which this isn't on my tweet, but if you remember, UAW is the union that's striking against the auto manufacturers. He's going to be the first president ever in history, probably tomorrow, if you're watching this on Monday, to actually participate in a picket, like a strike, with them and show his solidarity. He's a very pro-union president. And yeah, I mean, what an incredibly exceptional week. I believe the last thing he did that Friday was he announced the first office in the White House, the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, I believe it's called, which will be headed by Kamala Harris and will essentially spearhead all the executive resources into our gun violence epidemic. The White House the executive branch will have their own office to spearhead resources against what we're all screaming about, which is, the fact that we have a gun violence epidemic in this country. That was all pretty much within 48 hours. Maybe one of those things touched after 72 hours. But people talk about this guy being sleepy. They talk about him not being productive. They say he doesn't do anything. I talk to young people and they say, what has he done? What has he done? And this, I don't know who's at fault here, but this guy, even this week is a perfect example. He is killer. He is absolutely killer. I mean, this is insane, especially for me being young. We've got, stuff toward workers' rights, wiping away student debt where he can, LGBTQ plus veterans. The Climate Corps was probably the biggest one. The Office of Gun Violence Prevention. I mean, that sounds like 6 months. That was 3 days. Joe Biden isn't tired. He's not sleepy. He's productive. He's insanely productive, and he's at work for us. So sorry for the rant, Harry. That was kind of what I wanted to talk about. I thought it was crazy. I thought it was absolutely an insane week.
Man, I couldn't agree more. I think you kind of hit it right on the head. I mean, the narrative that this guy isn't doing anything, or that he's sleepy, or that he can't lead is BS. It's always been BS. This guy is one of the most productive presidents in American history. He listens to people. He does. And look, we always talk about Gen Z. We talk about Gen Z all the time, right? Absolutely. And he does listen to Gen Z. He does it constantly. He's proving it with this. But he's actually listening to voters of all ages, right? He's addressing issues that affect all of us. He's not just helping the wealthy donors like Republicans do, or helping the NRA like Republicans do, or shit like that, right? Like, he's actually getting policy that helps average Americans pass and done and things, within his power. And again, you mentioned something there about his creation of the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, and that is so important. It's something that gun violence advocates, gun regulation advocates have been pushing for years, and Biden is the one who did it. And the reason Biden is doing this is not only because it's the right thing to do, but Republicans will not act on this issue. He has tried and tried and tried to get Republicans to pass common sense gun reform. They will not do it. They will not do it. And all these things he's tried to do with Congress, but Republicans, they have no interest. So, if you want to, point is, if you want the person who's actually working for us, you're going to vote for Joe Biden. And if you want people who are going to work for the wealthy donors, the outside interest groups, and all these other people, you're going to then vote for Donald Trump, and we can have a sexual abuser as president, right?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. And I know I was that's very well said. I know I was very pretty short on a lot of those, but I just kind of wanted to you should absolutely go do some of your research on that if you can. You can find out more about what I talked about, but I just want to give a general run through of that's insane. And you're right. It's not just young people. It's all people. So yeah, dude. Shout out Joe. Maybe I'll be in for Halloween.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly right. I don't know, man. Like this conversation, you just kind of bringing all this up is just, it's just so frustrating in the context of politics, because it's why don't more people appreciate this stuff? If you look on a day-to-day basis as to what Joe Biden is doing as compared to Donald Trump, and as you mentioned earlier, recency bias, Joe Biden is doing amazing things objectively that help all people. I don't get why this is more appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to go into this topic, but it's very fascinating. I think constantly about, it's no secret that his poll numbers aren't great, and there's a lot of discontent for him. It's weird, and I think, I talk extensively with people in person about this issue who really don't like Joe Biden, and I'm telling you, I've probably in the last 2 to 3 weeks I've talked to between 5 and 15 people individually, ranging from my age to adults, like I'm talking 50, 55, full-time jobs. And the consensus seems to always be, they say, a lot of younger people tell me, he's too old. I say, I disagree with you, but okay, where else are we missing? Where else do we really dislike Joe Biden? And I'm telling you, the consistent thing for me is always, every time I talk to people, is he hasn't gotten anything done. What has he done? He's not productive. He hasn't done anything. And it's very fascinating to me why it feels like, people that's missing. I've publicly probably been too hard. I mean, it's a really hard time to try to do any type of PR because social media is ever evolving, so complex. We've gone from cable news and MSNBC and Fox being like, getting messages out, and now 60-70% of Americans aren't even watching that. They're getting all their news from TikTok, and it's ever evolving, so it's hard. But dude, people just don't know about this guy's wins. They just don't know, and I don't know if that's a fault of our division or the White House PR team or what it is, but or maybe the right people aren't paying attention. This is all anecdotal. Maybe I'm talking to people who don't really care that much, but that's kind of the consensus I get.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think there's a possibility that this changes as we get closer to 2024. Like, Biden's constantly talking about his accomplishments and all this good stuff, but as we get closer to 2024, there's a lot of money is going to get involved. We're going to have ads in specific states hammering specific policy and all this and all this stuff, and maybe it changes. But yeah, that is something that does kind of upset me about, like, how, like, when you ask someone what's in the Inflation Reduction Act, they're like, I don't, like, majority of Americans are like, I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, I was actually about to mention that. I was watching MSNBC, and they even did a thing while Joe Biden was talking. They brought it up in the bottom of the screen. In a poll, 80% of Americans couldn't name one thing that was in the Inflation Reduction Act, which I don't necessarily blame Americans for that, but you start to think about, okay, the Inflation Reduction Act was one of his biggest policy wins. I mean, that's a huge bill. That's like, what was that, like $1.7 trillion or something?
Yeah, it was big.
That's crazy. There was $370 billion in that bill for climate change. That's the most ever alone just in that single bill. And 80% of Americans can't name one thing out of the bill. That's a problem. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I think as just we get closer to the election, more money will be involved. People will start hammering it more, especially, because that's just the nature of it. But there's some great bills out there, and, like, look, maybe you're tuning into the episode for the first time. Don't just take it from us. You know what I mean? Go look into some of these major bills, whether it be the Inflation Reduction Act, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Deal, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, CHIPS Act, PACT Act. I mean, I could go on, right? There's just so many bills that I could go on. But anyway, yeah, good stuff from Biden. And I think overall, good week. And we're always happy to talk about this stuff. And Chris and I will always highlight these wins because they are major wins, whether the other side would like to acknowledge them or not. So,
right? No, 100%. And I think that's, again, why I say to have hope and keep, even through the noise, keep looking forward, because a lot of the things I just mentioned too are especially as more money gets involved or more people pay attention, 2024 and longer. The one thing that I consistently remark on, regardless of if you see it now or not, is these issues are incredibly one-sided. A lot of the issues I just named are incredibly one-sided. We're talking about the main issues Americans are focused on right now: abortion, gun control, climate change, the economy, a couple things I talked about in there. We talked about workers' rights, unions. Americans, they've done polling, CNN, Fox, everywhere. Americans are overwhelmingly becoming pro-union. It's almost like 75% almost. Americans overwhelmingly support some type of gun control, whether it's just universal background checks or more. That's going to be upwards at least. Any type of gun reform, that's going to be closer to 80%. But you talk about decent gun reform, 60% of Americans support that. Abortion, that's a losing issue for Republicans. You're still at like 6 to 7 out of 10 of Americans are just staunchly not going to agree with that. Climate change, it gets higher, 80%. And you have a Republican Party right now standing on a stage talking about how it's a hoax. You have Donald Trump sexually abusing women, taking credit for Roe v. Wade. I don't care what the noise sounds like. Give me November of 2024 and you have lost. I really do not care about what the polls say. You have to, at some point, you have to cancel out all that noise and just look at the basic facts, which is when people go to the voting booth in 2024, these are losing issues for Republicans over and over and over and over again, and they will get killed. Mark my words. I will mark my words. They'll get destroyed.
Yeah.
Be hopeful. We got this.
I think you perfectly said it. And I think, like, recently, not to go too off topic, but, you're seeing the Republicans, especially on abortion, pivot. You're seeing them pivot. You're seeing Nikki Haley go, we got to find a middle ground. Donald Trump is even saying, like, we got to find a middle ground. I'll make both parties love me on this issue. We're going to compromise. Right. Bull fucking shit. Bullshit. Donald Trump is on record saying that women should be punished if they get an abortion. Donald Trump is also on record bragging about how he overturned Roe v. Wade, and he's the one who did it, and he appointed the Supreme Court justices who did it. So look, all these issues, do not let the Republicans gaslight you, because coming to 2024, they'll talk about, oh, we support working Americans. In reality, they're on the side of the anti-union people. They're on the, they'll take money from those corporations. They don't support a woman's right to choose. They don't support protecting our kids in classrooms. They don't support capping insulin at $35 a month for seniors on Medicare. They don't support any of this. So.
I mean, bro, oh my, we're getting hype. I mean, I'm getting hype. It almost wants me. I want it to be November. I will run through a fucking brick wall.
I'm saying,
bring it, because right now, Harry, they're writing Joe Biden off. They're saying Joe Biden's going to lose in 2024. They're writing him off. The funny thing about Joe Biden, he doesn't write back. That's what I heard. He doesn't write back. Back. Geno Smith, he doesn't write back. Anyways. Just out of Gino, I'm sorry. By the way, just for people watching, because I know I'll get comments about this, because a lot of people, this is very random, but it popped into my head. A lot of people discuss how I've talked a little bit. Actually, I guess that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The point is, I am drinking out of 2 drinks. Accept it. That's all I had to say. I'm drinking out of Diet Coke, and I'm drinking Celsius powder pack at 1 a.m. trying to get hyped for the podcast. No wonder I can run through a brick wall.
Yeah, no wonder you can run through a brick wall right now. You're hyped, bro. You're hyped.
Right. Dude, yeah, right. Okay, so, I mean, what a segment. Would you like to move to what happened to you this week, or?
Yeah, let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
So, yeah, as we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, this is something I talked about with Chris extensively privately, but I've also talked about it publicly and on Twitter. Yeah, I got on Thursday last week, September 21st, a bomb threat was sent to me and my university. And I got a text immediately as soon as we got the email, or soon thereafter, from them saying, yeah, so we have this like weird email saying, you like shill for the Democrats, you're like a DNC plant, you're paid and all this stuff. And then they mentioned that they've placed they've placed a bomb in one of the main buildings of my university and my dorm room. So they have bombs in 2 buildings. They said everybody needs to be evacuated immediately. And this wasn't a threat in an email that was sent to me, my management team, and my university. Now, thankfully, the university immediately alerted the police. They called me. They texted me, and then I called them back. And they knew it was fake because I don't live in dorms. So they kind of knew from the get-go. And there was no panic. No students had to be notified. There was no notification sent out. Nobody had to be evacuated or anything. So it was good. It was kind of the best possible scenario that this could have gone, if that makes sense. But yeah, a bomb threat. That one's new for me. I've been swatted. I've had threatening mail sent to my house. But this one's new. This one's new, my man.
Yeah, like I said in the beginning, I'm proud of you. I'm sorry. I know it's a lot. And it's extra a lot when there is, a section of the internet right now, a pretty decent section, basically coming at you harder than they've ever come at you before. Because apparently Harry posted about this, and they're saying that this is the end of Harry's quote-unquote career because they're going to find out that he faked the whole thing. Lately, they have been everybody, if you're listening and you support us, first of all, like once again, I can't say it enough, we love you. Second of all, send Harry your love, send Harry your thoughts. Go DM him. Go on his Instagram page and say, I love you, I'm proud of you. Because this guy, man, he's literally, the conspiracy theorists are out. They claim that a lot of the stuff, the swatting was fake, the truck that got sent to his house was fake, the bomb threat is fake. And for the bomb threat, I don't even think I want to pull up the video because I don't need to give the wrong people, clout for no reason. Clout's a bad word. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't need to give the wrong people, clicks for no reason. But there's a lot of people, Harry's, that are just claiming that he, faked it, and they have private investigators, and they'll find out he's a horrible, horrible person, and all he does is lie. And I find it incredibly just disgusting. I think it's a perfect representation of MAGA. They think everything that they could not possibly fathom. We say, not a lot, but we say a section of MAGA is really extreme and dangerous, and like they do violent things. And then you get like swatted and bomb threats, and they're like, nah, that definitely didn't happen. Okay, buddy, like, what do you, like, and it's just unbelievable. They think fucking everything's a conspiracy. It's absolutely disgusting, and I think for your general safety, I think it does, when a lot of bigger accounts are posting about, oh, we know it's fake, it's making the situation worse. for your safety and for general people's general thought process. So truly, Harry, 101, man, I'm sorry. I'm proud of you. I think you're doing, incredibly good work, and I think you should just ignore the noise. I don't even think we should bring up who did this because, again, I'm more convinced that we know a couple of them that do it purely for clicks. Because at the end of the day, I never even believed in this really until I became good friends with you. But people really, really actually do hate people who are like doing good things, and like you're killing it out there, bro. You're absolutely killing it, and people just. They're just like, bro, they're just like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if they're obsessed. I don't know if they want clicks. I don't know what it is. But shout out Harry. You guys should send him your love. Comment below. We love him. We love him to death.
I appreciate the hell out of
you
bro.
can keep talking
Genuinely.
about it. I didn't mean to.
No. I appreciate the hell out of you, bro. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, I mean, you bring up, the reality situation is that, I've been swatted. This has all happened within the past 4 months. I was swatted. I had threatening mail sent to my house. I had a car pull up to my house that had a tweet of mine on it saying like, Harry Sisson's a liar. I probably drove around my neighborhood as well. Maybe my neighbors saw that as well. And now I've had a bomb threat. And in all of these instances, I've been accused of being a liar about it. People are like, I don't believe you. And that's fine. People are allowed to say whatever they want. They have the right. But as Chris said, when these bigger accounts start posting about it nonstop, I think it rises to a level that it should have never gotten to. I think that the response, I think that it bothers. I think it bothers you and I because it's not where our morals lie. Like if a right winger, even if we disagree with them, had a bomb threat sent to them in their university or whatever, maybe their family's involved in some capacity, you and I'd be like, shit, I'm like so sorry. Like you do not deserve that. We disagree fundamentally, but I think that's awful. But that's not MAGA, and I'm not saying this to be insulting to Republicans, or I'm not even insulting this. I'm not trying to be insulting. It's just not MAGA. MAGA, I genuinely do not believe that a vast majority of these people have morals. They hate people so much that they disagree with that they legitimately think that I've gone to the extent to fake a swatting where I filed a police report that I've showed on public before because I like being transparent, which would be, by the way, if I filed a false police report, that'd be illegal. I filed a police report about the hate mail. I also posted that online. The car, they think it was photoshopped, and then that it was sent to me by the DNC or whatever the conspiracy is. And now that they're faking a bomb threat, and they're like, and they think I've gone through the extent of doing that just for what? To make a video? I don't know what they think the motive is. But it's a weird world. It's kind of hard to describe to people watching, but it's a weird world. It's a weird world.
Yeah, and I think that's like extremely well said because like genuinely, like Harry, like. And again, I won't name anybody, but we talk extensively privately. There's some creators on this app who really get under our skin on the right. There's some I'm sorry, I said this app. I'm not making a TikTok. There's some creators on social media who really get under our skin. Like there's some right-wing creators who drive me insane. But if they ever posted like, "Hey, I got a bomb threat," I don't even think there would be I don't care who it is. I don't think there'd be a millisecond of me being like, "It's fake. It's fake. It's fake." Like, and again, it sucks because I really like and I think you know this about me. We hate division. We hate the divisiveness, but sometimes you just have to call it like it is. Like, the EDs, like I just said, not a second goes through my mind. If I saw someone, I got a bomb threat, I had a swatting, my family's involved, I don't care who you are. There's not going to be really 1 second that I'm going to actually doubt that. And this right wing, like this like extreme right wing is truly like extremely dangerous. And I've never seen it so front and center to me with someone I care about. But I mean, specifically the people are like, making videos and doing all that right now. It's just bad people, man. I don't know what goes through the head, but it's just not good.
No, I mean, I think that's kind of what it boils down to. Like, to be clear, both Chris and I have friends that we disagree with vehemently. I have one of my good friends that I've known for the majority of my life disagrees with me on virtually everything except like, basic human rights. Like, they're not transphobic or homophobic or anything like that. We just disagree on policy, and that's fine. I'm happy to know people like that. But I genuinely think that there are a lot of people, especially on social media, on the right, who are just bad people. They're just not good. And, people listen to them, and that's fine. And, it's just the way that social media works. But there are a lot of bad people with bad intentions who do bad things for clicks. For clicks, I think that, and this is something that I've thought about. Sorry, not to get like deep on the episode, ladies and gentlemen, but this is something I've thought about, like in relation to these things, like the bomb threat and swatting. It's like, if I saw that happen to a right-wing creator, I wouldn't even feel the need to give my opinion. Like, well, I don't understand why these right-wingers have to be like, well, here's my opinion on Harry getting swatted and having a bomb threat. I'm like, well, nobody needs that. Nobody needs that.
Right. And again, like, it just goes back to the fact that I think, like, you're doing it in a way that people don't do, man. I mean, you're just absolutely murdering it. You're so consistent. You're so on top of it. You're absolutely murdering it. And again, that's what's so weird is that, why, like, it's legitimately like Harry Sisson. There's like accounts like practically dedicated to like, what did Harry Sisson say and what's the, I need to comment on his personal matters on TikTok. And again, you don't do that. I know a lot of people on social media, like we said, my main guess is like a lot of these people do it for clicks. You duet Harry's a divisive figure. Oh my God, what did Harry do? Blah, blah. You maybe gain a crowd through the algorithm that's anti-Harry. They're like, oh my God. But again, Harry, there's a lot of people who who don't like you. You don't even duet videos. I think the first video that you duetted recently was about this situation, which I think is fair. But in terms of your total account, like 5, maybe, like you never duet videos. You don't do any of this stuff for clicks. You post what you think is important and you move on. You don't even look at the view count. You never look at the view count. We talk about this all the time. I'm like, how'd your videos do today? You're like, I have no idea. Because bro, like, you'll concern yourself with that later. You post what's important and move on. None of these other people can say that. It's crazy, man. It's so and I think like it's
No, go ahead. Sorry, finish.
Sorry. I think it's multifaceted because it's also really like mind-boggling that we talk about how we try to have. I'm not trying to suggest our morals are better than anyone else's, but in the social media game, especially when it comes to money and clicks, we try to like be the best we can. And I think it really, like, I can imagine it gets to you that people don't, it's not that they don't think that of you, it's that they quite literally think the exact opposite. Like, you try to do what you know what I mean?
I mean, I've been doing this for 3 years, well over 3 years actually. So, people are going to think, people are going to talk. It's just, it does, like, genuinely, the discourse doesn't really get to me. Like, I don't care. I quite frankly do not care if, like, MAGA Patriot 1011 on TikTok, like, thinks I'm lying about something, right? I doesn't really.
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna
me,
sleep
by the
soundly.
way.
It's Chris, by the way.
Yeah, I have alt accounts. I just spam you all
Chris
day.
is like my biggest hater. No, but like, I don't really care. Whether these people think my morals are like compromised or whether they agree with my morals or not, or they think I'm a bad person. It's like that is what it is. But I can't really follow the conspiracy theories. Like, I don't know. I don't know how they think I got to like a position where I'm now like lying about bomb threats. I don't know like how that got to this point. But it regardless, what I'm kind of saying is like, I don't really care what people say. It's just like when it comes to like personal safety matters, it's a little bit of a different ballpark. It's not just like, oh, I disagree with Harry because he supports this policy. I don't. I disagree with Harry because he supports Biden and I don't. It's like, they're actively, claiming that I'm lying about my personal safety, which is no fucking joke. And so that's the only thing that I think like weighs on my mind a little bit in relation to these stories. But again, it just appears to be the name of the game of modern politics, dude. So,
Right, yeah. Well, hopefully in 4 or 8 years it'll be different. And but yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You can take the beating, but as soon as it, for me, I feel like, I certainly have not been in this game as long. I don't do it as well as you, and I understand that, and I certainly don't have the following. But when it has gotten to me, and it involves my address leaking or people, DMing friends or family, you and I can take, we'll do the, like, the other day I had, a tweet really do quote unquote well, but it got like 12 million views in 12 hours. And it was like really like centered. It was just me. And it was, Chris is paid by the DNC and all this fucking dumb shit. Andrew Tate commented on it. Right. Ugh. And it was the biggest flood. I know it was the biggest flood I had ever seen, of like hate. I wasn't really scrolling the comments, but like hate DMs like just crazy shit. Like I was just flooded with the like nastiest shit. And it gets to you eventually, but that shit is something you and I can handle. But as soon as like you see like you hear like from a friend like, oh, someone DM'd me, or you hear like, oh, like my parents' address was leaked. Like there's a picture, like I was scrolling Twitter, there's a picture of my parents' house. That's when it's like, all right, we got to cut the shit. We got to cut the shit. Or even when it's like, just personal like safety. Like someone's like, I'm coming after you. That's like when you just got to cut it and be like, bro, we can only take so much. So just like, I'm proud of you, bro.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate all the kind words you've said this episode. Genuinely, it does mean a lot, especially from the people who actually matter in your life as opposed to the people who don't.
Right.
But I also want to make it clear, like with this, as I said in my video on my TikTok about this, like I'm going to keep people informed every step of the way. I actually don't have the majority of the information about this, unfortunately, and I'm the person it was about, which is kind of crazy. Like I don't have the report. I don't have any of that. I'm trying to work to get it so I can share it with everybody. Just because you guys, I think, as supporters, deserve to see it. What was the other thing you mentioned? I had something else to say, but I kind of forgot. It's kind of slipped my mind.
I just said that I was just reiterating on the fact that we can take a beating, but when it starts to relate to family safety, personal safety, address leaking, right. Maybe it'll come back to you.
Maybe it'll come back to me. But yeah, point is, I'm going to keep people informed every step of the way. And I do. And then the fact of the matter is like the people who are the craziest are the loudest in the room. So I've actually received a lot of support from people, and I appreciate the hell out of you guys for sending that support. And Chris and I always, every single day, wake up thankful for you for watching us. Like it's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, 100%. Like I 100% agree. And yeah, that's the fact. Is like a lot of times the noise is like, you look up Harry Sisson on something, and it's like the noise that day is like, oh, he faked this something. But oftentimes our DMs are really, or our live comments are flooded with, nice job. You're really like doing a lot. And I think that like means a ton to us. Like I said in the beginning of the episode, like a lot of, I said it last week, we wouldn't trade this for the world, but a lot of the reason we are able to pick ourselves up through personal stuff or this type of stuff is because we truly have like the greatest people in the world who are kind enough to watch, DM, and like, and just say, thank you. It's truly like, it's so nice. So
no, I couldn't agree more. And that definitely shows in moments like these, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think that's it for me, at least on that topic. Yeah. Just a crazy, just like I think it's valuable to give you guys like an insight as well, and to not just like about the politics stuff, but also like us as people. I think it's important to give you guys that kind of insight into real shit. Put it plainly, and I'll continue to do that. I know Chris will as well. But yeah, we just appreciate you. And anyway, couldn't think of what I was meant to say earlier, but anyway.
No, it's all right. Yeah, I 100% agree. We try to be transparent. We try to tell you guys. Just be ourselves as much as we can. Yeah, I think
actually, I remember what I was gonna say. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine. Go.
What I was gonna say is, like, with things like this, like with the swatting, with the bomb threat, the hate mail to my house, and like the car. It's like, first of all, I have no idea what the motive is to fake it. But also, I was talking with someone recently about this stuff, and I'm like, I'm just like a normal guy. you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like a 20-year-old. I go to college. I watch football. I go out with friends on the weekends. I do my homework. And I just also happen to be someone that talks about politics on the internet. Right? But I'm not fucking anyone special. I'm not unique. I'm not anybody higher in the Democratic Party. I don't have these connections that people think I have. I don't have any of that. Like, I'm just like a normal guy. And I think like a lot of people don't view us as like normal people. They don't like, it's very, I think a lot of people, especially in content creation, don't see the person behind the screen, which is natural. We're all guilty of it, especially with celebrities, like whether it be athletes, movie stars, music people. You don't really know them as people. But the fact of the matter is like, as I was saying to this person, I'm like, I am just a regular guy. I don't know why people think this regular ass guy who goes to school like any other college guy is any more unique, or has any more ability to fake these things. Anyway.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's well said. And like, I think, it's hard to give like the type of insight to people listening, but yeah, that type of whole thing, even as I'm experiencing, like I'm coming up on 1 year I posted like my first video, and yeah, that type of like everybody, like we're just we're kids who happen to be passionate about this stuff. And we're no better than we're not how do I say this? Say it for me.
We're
I don't
no
know how
better
to
than
say
anybody
this.
else. I mean, that's the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're just and we're just people. We love and
Yeah.
support everybody. I mean I had this kind of experience this week, this past weekend actually, or maybe the weekend before, but yeah, I mean it'll we talk about how your upbringing on social media, it changes your brain a little bit. You got to like work the ins and outs, but I guess all you can do is just continue to be yourself.
That's the truth, my man. That's the truth. That's all we can do here. And again, as I've said a million times this episode, but it's really put in perspective this week. I really appreciate the support. Chris appreciates the support, and especially if you're still watching. Listen, I was like fucking ramble about this stuff right now. Anyway,
Right? Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really well said. And again, for the millionth time, we love you. Thank you. I think we'll probably end it off here. Does that work, Harry?
That works for me, sir.
All right. Well, listen, thank you guys for listening to episode 13. We're live every Monday, 1 p.m. All platforms, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube. If you're listening on YouTube right now, you say, I'd rather listen in the car on Spotify. Boom. There will be links in the description, or you can just search us up, Chris and Harry Unplugged. You can check us out on other social media. We do similar content, more short form, TikTok, Chris D. Mowry, Twitter, Chris D. Mowry, and Harry J. Sisson on TikTok and Twitter. And one more thing. If you've made it this far, we love you. We care about you. We can't say it enough. And if you are interested in a Patreon, it would genuinely mean the world to me if you could just take a few seconds out of your day. The fact that you'd even be willing to do it is crazy. We're getting all sentimental in this episode. But if you could fill out that Google form for us, that'd be amazing. And we'll update you guys on the Patreon stuff next week, 1 p.m. And we hope to see you there. We love you all. Be safe. Have a fantastic week. We'll see you around. Peace.